Jonathan Machorro, welcome to the podcast, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers, Marty. It's good
Yes.
to finally have these beers, man.
Yes, exactly. We're talking about the Facebook memory 8 years ago.
8 years to the day almost.
To the day almost, and how that was unexplainable in a way. Whether it's like technology spying on us and like putting things together, or in a spiritual sense, to where if you're thinking about somebody, you almost get like a frequency, the same type of frequency, like almost like a radio wave. There's some type of like brain wave that is out there in the ether. That's something that is ethereal and it's spiritual, but it could be possible. And like we were saying, there's just some things in everybody's life, like whether it's like once in a lifetime, where things just come together in a very, very weird way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had a phenomenal therapist. His name was John. God rest his soul, he's not with us anymore. But I would always bring up things like this, like, John, check this out, this and this happened, right? And then he would always make fun of me and go, ooh, it's a whole conspiracy, you know?
Yeah.
So there's multiple ways you could look at it, but I don't know. I think it's a lot more beautiful to not look at it as a coincidence.
Yeah, I agree with you. And 8 years ago, we posted something on Facebook and said, hey, let's get together and grab some beers, and now we're
Almost
here.
to the day. I think off by 2 days.
So did that just pop up on your Facebook, or that shit kind of pops up, right?
So you and I had finally established like when we were gonna do this, right? We
Yes.
had the date down and everything, and that was December 17th. Numbers is my thing. So December 17th, and then December 18th, I logged on. I was working, taking a little break from work. Sorry, boss. And then I logged on to Facebook, and then you get the memories thing.
Yeah.
And then I click on it, and it was 8 years ago. You and Marty have a memory.
Wow.
I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
And boom, it's like, yo, let's grab a beer soon. It was so good to run into you. So
That's wild, man.
yeah,
That's really weird.
yeah, it is.
But nonetheless, we're here. We're having some beers, and I wanted to have you on to talk about a couple things. You're into martial arts, and you do also humanitarian work. So I'm always fascinated by people who have like a very kind heart with your humanitarian stuff. Like, you obviously have to have a kind heart with that, and then at the same time, can fuck people up. So like ferocity, and at the same time kindness. I love that combination. So I guess maybe we can get into we're talking a little bit about your trip down to Guatemala. How did you get wind of that? What was the impetus for that? How did that happen? How did that come together?
So that was 2020's been a fucking year, hasn't it? For I think everybody. So
Yes, sir.
November 5th, again, dates, man. It's just a numbers thing for me. November 5th, I was at work, and a lot of deadlines coming up, really stressful situation. Watching the election results like by the second, right? So I got all this going on, and then I get a message from my mother, who's here, and she was at work in LA, and she says Guatemala was just hit by a hurricane, and my dad is in Guatemala right now, or he was at the time. I mean, so I didn't understand the magnitude of what she was texting me because I had so many other things, and so I just said like, oh, is Dad okay? She said, yeah, he's fine. I said, okay, I have to get back to work. I kept working. Deadlines, man. You know how it is here. It's a rat race. I was like, I need to hit my deadlines. But then it started creeping in little by little. Like, I have a lot of friends and family over there. I've traveled to Guatemala at least once every 2 years since I was like 4 years old. So it started creeping in, like, shit, So I started reaching out to my cousin, my friends, yo, what's going on? And they started sending me videos of like their homes, the water up to the roof.
Yeah.
Telling me that they got hit at 3 a.m. So it wasn't like, let's load up the stuff, It was 3 a.m., grab what you can and let's go. So then it started hitting me like a ton of bricks, and I wasn't able to keep working. I messaged my manager. Luckily, I have a phenomenal team that I work for on my 9-to-5 job. And so I just told her, this is the situation right now. The town where my parents are from just got hit by this huge storm. I can't focus. And she said, fine. And then martial arts, man, it's what I rely on to really get some steam off. So I just like went for a little jog and just shadow boxing, just trying to like work things out. Just shadow boxing in the driveway, doing some jump rope, shadow boxing, flowing, moving. And then my mom comes home from work, And then we go inside to have dinner together, and she starts explaining to me. She's like, "Mijo, like I don't think you quite understand. These people are very poor. They've worked
Right.
years to accumulate all of the things they had. I mean, like little by little accumulating these things. So they're not going to be able to. If you're 40 or 50, the chances of you getting back to the level you were pre-storm are slim.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you know, for us, it's like Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a much different thing. If I need something, I'll have it in 2 days.
Amazon one click or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's get some toilet paper. Let's get some whatever it is. Simple necessities. But then when you visit, I don't know if Guatemala is a third world country, are they?
Yeah, I mean, that term is always a weird thing, right? But they are underdeveloped, for sure. Yeah, yeah, man.
And the stuff that we take advantage of, or take for granted rather, those people just don't have that type of accessibility to resources. So I was really, it moved me when you were doing that type of work, because my family's from Cambodia, and it's a very poor country as well. And so you go and you visit places like that, and it shifts your perspective. Like, we are so fortunate and so lucky, and anytime that you can help out, you know, if it's not like a big burden, or if it's something that you feel drawn to or passionate about, like, go do that shit. So it's very, very inspirational what you're doing.
Thank you, man. Do you go back to Cambodia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Often since you were a kid, or how?
I went once when I was in 2011. I just had graduated college, and then I went back again most recently, maybe like a year or two ago. And so I've only visited a couple times, but times are changing over there, which is a good thing. So the Cambodian landscape is, back 10 years ago, nobody was really there in terms of like foreign investment or like expats or what you would call it. But now, more and more people are getting privy to all the business opportunity that's going on there. So a bunch of like Westerners, Americans, Europeans are going over there and bringing in a lot of like Western know-how. So like restaurants are popping up and businesses are popping up. And so in a way, it's a good thing. In some ways, it's a bad thing, because there's like big foreign investments from China, from Korea, and things like this, which are kind of like raping the country a bit. But it's a give and take with anything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's something that's been a part of Guatemala's history since as far back as you could go. You know, it's the majority of the land in Guatemala is not owned by Guatemalans, and so the money that comes from the land, from the natural resources, is shipped out. You know, but they also bring innovation. They bring jobs. They bring
Right.
So it's
catch-22, I guess.
It's a catch-22 for sure.
Yeah, because you know, in the third world countries, there's so much like natural beauty that you can appreciate, and there's something to be said for that. But when the people are starving to death and just really poor as fuck, it's like, like, what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah, what do you do? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But you were down there. You were in Guatemala. You were telling me before the podcast they got hit by two hurricanes, and I mean, you're telling me that the water was all the way up to some of the roofs of these houses. So what is like some of the relief that you were providing people down there?
So we were able to, so the stories I heard when we were down there was insane. Like, some people had to stay on the roofs for like 3 days until help arrived or something.
Wow.
So we were we did a GoFundMe, and that idea came again during Shadowbox. I'm sure we'll get to talk about martial arts, but that idea just came to me, like, what can we help? You know, let's just see. I tried to look for organizations that I could give money to, and I couldn't really find any that I felt comfortable with. And no offense to any organizations out there, I just couldn't find any that my cousins and my friends in the town could vouch for. And so
I see.
So now when I was talking to friends about what's going on, because I started just posting on Instagram just because I wanted to let people know what was going on in Guatemala, and they were all just, hey, let me know if you're going to start something. And then what I kept hearing from all of them was that they didn't trust the larger organizations.
Of course.
So that's when I was like, fuck, all right, so that's not a route, right? And so I just started this GoFundMe, and then I was talking to my dad over there, like, hey, I'm going to start raising some money. I don't know. I was like, maybe we'll get like $1,000 or something, and then we'll see what we can buy. We were able to raise $11,000 in like 10 days.
Wow.
Which is incredible. Yeah, man. People are like, thank you all. I mean, people are insane, man. Insane. Like, and the diversity of people who gave, like from every parts of anybody I've ever interacted with, like there was no consistent theme. Like it was just my faith. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. People were so generous, so supportive, and they don't even know the people. You know what I mean? Like I know the people that this money was going to, so it was a connection there. But these people were giving money and they didn't even. I mean, it was just like me and my parents would be like, did you see what just came in? You know, we'd just be texting each other like, oh my God. So then we started kind of thinking about like, what can we do then with the money that we're getting? And so there was international help coming in, but they were giving out things to get by, like food, used clothes, things like that. We started looking at how, let's think a little broader, right? So you can give a person a fish, right? You feed them for a day, but if you teach a man to fish or a woman to fish, you feed them for a lifetime, as the saying goes. So we were focusing more on how can we help get these people back on their feet. These people had nowhere to sleep because their mattresses had been soaked in water. And making a purchase like that when you're already struggling to just make ends meet is very difficult. So we were like, let's buy some beds. They were also, all their stoves were destroyed.
See, perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
household utilities, mattresses, stoves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful, dude. That is.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we were able to give away 50 beds, 50 mattresses, 50 propane tanks, and we gave those as like a package, you know. And then on top of that, we were able to give out, and those are all to families that we like. We figured out which families needed it the most based on a number of criteria. And then we also gave away 40 mattress pads and blankets at this school that was serving as a shelter. Man, that was like
Helpful.
helpful and difficult to see. You know, like seeing kids sleeping on cardboard boxes on floors for 3 weeks. You know.
Yeah.
But we were able to do all that, man, and it was a blessing. Thanks to everyone. You know, I was just a messenger in this situation, and the person who, like, we're talking the interconnectedness. You know, my dad just happened to be in Guatemala for something else, but because he was there, I could talk to him like, yo, I got this money coming. I'm gonna send you the money, buy the stuff. And then my mom was like my liaison to talk to my dad. Like we were just the perfect people to accomplish, to send the message of love from all the people who were giving money.
Big ups. Very big ups to you, man.
Thank you, man.
Something that not a lot of people would even consider doing. And not only did you consider it, but you executed. And that's inspirational, and that's why I wanted to have you come on here and talk, because not only about that part of your experience, but also just kind of like watching your social media stuff when it comes to like martial arts, and you seem like you're a real focused dude and you try to improve, and we're talking about this like ferocity and then also the kindness coming together as well. It's a cool thing. I find you an interesting dude. When did you first start, you do martial arts, when did you first start like getting into martial arts?
Well, I mean, you grew up around here, right?
I did.
De La Hoya was king, you know?
Yeah.
So weekends were spent watching De La Hoya fights.
Yeah.
So I first started training at the De La Hoya gym when I was like 19, just for a summer, but it's expensive, man. It's an expensive hobby. So I paused it until I was more established in my engineering career and I had my finances in order. I was living up in Berkeley, and so I was like, oh, you know, like I didn't really know anybody. I was like, I need to like get a community going or something. So I just started Googling like boxing gyms.
Yeah.
And then I found this gym called CMT Athletics. Shout out Rock Karma. That's my boy out in Oakland. And so I went in there and we started, I told him I just wanted to do boxing.
Yeah.
So we did boxing, but he was a former professional Muay Thai fighter. Do you know what Muay Thai is?
Yeah. It's the art of 8 limbs.
There we go. Okay. Yep, the art of 8 limbs. Bam, bam, knees and kicks.
Yeah.
So he got me into Muay Thai about 5 years ago, man, and I haven't. Once you really start getting into martial arts and it like just takes hold of you, you're done for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You'll never stop. Yeah. Yeah. What do you want to try? What have you thought about?
Yeah, so probably kickboxing would be good. Muay Thai is good. I think probably like some grappling would be good. But to start off, I think probably kickboxing would probably be the easiest, just because I'm more familiar with like throwing a punch and maybe even throwing a kick. And when I say more familiar, it's just like more natural. Like maybe I did it when I was a kid. punch somebody or kick somebody.
Everybody, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so probably I would say kickboxing is, and even Muay Thai, you know, you can throw knees and throw elbows. It doesn't seem too difficult. Jiu-Jitsu kind of seems more challenging. Wrestling seems really challenging. Just very different from what I'm used to. So probably kickboxing is
Did you do karate growing up or anything?
No karate, none of that.
Yeah, I agree with like the grappling is like needed, but it's tough. Especially like at this stage in our, I mean, we're still kind of young, right? 30 is like the new 20, but yeah, it's tough rolling around with these kids. But yeah, I definitely recommend, boxing is actually what I would recommend anybody to start with.
Boxing?
Yeah, because once you get those hands moving, then you can do, because there's a lot of people in Muay Thai who can do kicks, but they can't throw hands, you know?
I see.
Yeah.
What do you like about Muay Thai? What do you like about martial arts? What does it do for you?
Man.
You were talking about like working through things, shadow boxing, flowing, moving. That's got to help with your mental state, mental health.
I don't know how anybody who doesn't do martial arts got through this pandemic. I'll just say how vital this thing has been to me. You literally, to do a martial arts workout, you need, like, once you learn some stuff, you know, and you get past like the first couple of years or whatever, and you got the fundamentals down, I could literally go to the parking lot right now and have an insane workout just by shadow boxing. I mean, insane, like dripping sweat, you know, one of those workouts. And then just the flow of it, the connection between your mind and your body, and really you have to tap into yourself when because you're not forcing anything. Everything comes with a flow, right? The cross is you throw a jab, and on the jab you're loading up the weight, and then you're throwing the cross. And when you're throwing the cross, you're loading up the hook, and it's all a flow. You're flowing with everything, you know. And that's and then you can, you know, it's like Bruce Lee would always, you know, one of my favorite quotes of his is "Be water, my friend." Right? You put water into a teacup, it becomes the teacup. You put water into a pot, it becomes the pot.
Right.
Be water, my friend. But water can also crash, you know, and it can take down the hardest rock. So you can incorporate that to all parts of your life. Like, we don't always got to force it. Sometimes you just got to figure out which way through it, and then sometimes you got to come, you know, come hard with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marty's gonna change your life.
Yeah. Well, that's something we're talking before the podcast. That's something that I want to get into because I don't know how to fight, and knowing how to fight or knowing how to defend yourself brings confidence, and this is a big thing that comes up a lot in this podcast is confidence and how key it is to just doing whatever you're trying to do in life. And I was talking to this guy Adam Baca. He's a like personal trainer, but he's just a like really philanthropical person as well. Talking about like ferocity and kindness at the same time. He just did like Secret Santa to like help the homeless. He lives like in the Colorado area, and at the same time he's like this massive dude that is like a personal trainer, and I like those types of people. There's something to that. But he was saying that like confidence is like self-trust. It's like you tell yourself what you're going to do. Say for example it's a workout for like an hour and burn 600 calories or 1,000 calories, and you doing that builds self-trust, which is the same thing essentially as confidence. So I feel like many people, including myself, there's a lot of things that we say that we're going to do and then don't do it. And I've had this experience a lot of times in my life, particularly when it comes to my health. And so I think martial arts would be a good thing to kind of like bridge that gap, you know, because it's not only helping me gain confidence in the areas of my health, but, you know, gain confidence in almost like everything is connected. So as you're gaining confidence in your health and you're gaining confidence in your ability to defend yourself in case somebody wants to fuck with you, you can do the damn thing. And confidence is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Have you heard of the Gracie family?
Yeah, of course.
So I forgot which Gracie it is, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said one day somebody's gonna have to try to take your lunch, and you're gonna have to choke that motherfucker out.
Yeah, you know? That's cool.
And there is something to be said about the ferociousness, and then also the softness, the vulnerability in the society that we're in. We're trending more towards making it acceptable for men to be vulnerable. right? But it's still a transition, especially San Francisco, where I just came from my nice little liberal bubble. But coming to LA, you see it's still something that's progressing, right? And so to have that confidence and that strength to be vulnerable, sometimes you got to have a little backing behind it that like, I know who the fuck I am. I'm not soft, but in case you want to test it, then, you know, it helps make the transition, I feel.
Yeah.
To bridge those two. It helps break the stigma, I guess you could say, right? That like, just because I'm crying because I'm sad, it doesn't mean anything besides that I'm crying because I'm sad.
Right.
But if you could back that up also in the gym, the respect, you know.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Guys who could feel free to cry. It's a different experience when you're like seeing some guy weeping like a little bitch, and then a guy who's weeping that is comfortable doing that because he knows he's not a little bitch. So there's like that almost like opposite perspective of it, and I think that's really powerful for anybody to be vulnerable, because you know there's so much opportunity now, especially with like social media and putting out so much content that people could just like clown you for it. So I mean, you know, in a way, I think maybe martial arts will give me the more opportunity to be vulnerable, which a lot of people like to see. So maybe more people will resonate with that.
You'll tap into some amazing stuff, man, and you'll also during my flowing shadowboxing session, I've come up with I'm producing a few short films right now. I come up with ideas for 2 of those films. The Guatemala GoFundMe thing came from a shadowboxing session. I come up with ideas for like engineering solutions during these. Like I'll literally be mid shadowboxing, like I gotta write this shit down, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's amazing.
It'll take you to another level.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially you're working out, so there's a lot of like neurochemicals going on in your brain, dopamine and fucking serotonin or whatever else goes on in that process. But you know, whenever you're working out, you're feeling good. You're sweating, and your brain's very active. I'm sure if you're taking like a MRI of the brain during somebody's like workout, I'm sure it's much more fired up than compared to like when somebody's just like watching TV or something.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then they've also done studies about how, because we have 2 sides of the brain, right? The right side is more of the creative side. The left side is like the logical side, right? We need both of them. But when you're walking, you're activating both. When you're tapping, you're activating both. Martial arts is all about flowing from left to right, left to right, left to right.
Oh, I see.
So that also has to be stimulating. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's gonna change your life, Marty. You let me know. We'll train, man.
Yeah, sounds good. Are you mostly in San Francisco?
I'm back.
You're back. Okay. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna get your number after this, and I'm gonna hit you up definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. I don't know what time we're at. We're 23 minutes. So you know, it's kind of going by. Those are the 2 of the main things that I want to talk to you about. Your trip down to Guatemala and your martial arts. Dude, we could start wrapping it up and, you know, chill out and have the rest of these beers after it. But, you know, I wanted to get you on the podcast because I think that, you know, the stuff that you're doing in your life experiences is cool, man. Going down to Guatemala, the martial arts stuff. So thank you for coming on.
Hey, thank you, Marty. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see
Stella, I hope you guys are watching, you know? Anyway, cheers, man.
Cheers, bro.